friends from American Jewelry and Loan, just in from New York. Les Gold appeared on Good Morning America.
A trusted employee turning against you is the kind of betrayal that doesn't just hurt, it shakes the ground beneath your feet. For Les Gold, it became both a personal heartbreak and a professional disaster. One day, Joe was the dependable worker he thought he could rely on, and the next, he was the very reason cracks began to form in the empire Les spent a lifetime building. In this video, we're diving into the truth behind their fallout, how Joe's actions spiraled into a tragedy for Les, and how that betrayal marked the beginning of a painful turning point for his business. Les Gold and the pawn industry. Les Gold didn't just run a pawn shop. For many people, he embodied the entire pawn world. To viewers of hardcore pawn, he was the unshakable force behind American Jewelry and Loan. The man who seemed to control chaos with nothing but experience, instinct, and a voice that carried authority. In Detroit, his name wasn't just known. It echoed across the city as the standard for how a pawn business should be run. From the outside, the formula looked simple. A charismatic owner, a shop filled with unpredictable customers, and the never-ending drama of high-value items changing hands. But behind the fame and the cameras was a man whose life was shaped by discipline, honesty, and a fierce commitment to running his business the right way. Les Gold built his empire long before television ever discovered him, and when hardcore pawn hit screens, his reputation exploded far beyond Michigan. What made him stand out wasn't just his tough approach. Les had a deep understanding of money, negotiation, and human behavior. He didn't sugarcoat, didn't play games, and didn't tolerate shortcuts. Whether he was closing a deal or disciplining an employee, he always held himself and everyone around him to a brutally high standard. For Les, working at American Jewelry and Loan wasn't a 9-to-5 job. It was a way of life, one he poured his heart into daily. People who worked close to him often said the same thing. Being around Les pushed you to become sharper. He demanded excellence, expected accountability, and believed in facing problems head-on. And because of that, his pawn shop became a symbol of legitimacy in an industry that was often shadowed by suspicion. While many pawn shops carried a reputation for shady deals, Les built his brand on fairness, transparency, and professionalism. Customers trusted him. Competitors respected him. The industry recognized him. American Jewelry and Loan wasn't just a business. It became a model, a living example of what could happen when a pawn shop was run with integrity and discipline. People traveled from all over just to see the shop made famous on TV. And viewers across the world felt like they were part of something real, not scripted. That authenticity became the show's backbone. But success has a way of hiding its own cracks. While Les was earning global respect and reshaping the way people viewed the pawn industry, a betrayal was quietly forming within the walls he had built with so much effort. Behind the counters, behind the daily rush of customers, behind the cameras, someone close to him was quietly dismantling everything he believed in. Conflict with employees. While Les Gold was busy shaping the shop's public image and maintaining the empire he had built over decades, something darker was happening inside. The trust he proudly extended to his workers was slowly being chipped away by one man, Joe. Joe wasn't just another employee. He had been with the company for years, long enough to be considered one of Les's right-hand men. He handled high-value transactions, oversaw sensitive merchandise, and controlled areas of the business that only the most trusted staff ever touched. He knew the systems, the routines, the policies, everything. And because of that, no one questioned him. Why would they? Joe had earned his place, or so everyone thought. But as time passed, tiny cracks began to appear. It started with small discrepancies, barely noticeable at first. A missing item here, a slight cash imbalance there. Mistakes that anyone could shrug off as simple oversight in a busy store. American Jewelry and Loan saw hundreds of items daily. It wasn't unusual for paperwork to get tangled, or inventory to be delayed. Les refused to assume the worst. He had always treated his employees like family, and betraying that trust was something he never believed any of them capable of. But small cracks rarely stay small. Those little inconsistencies grew into clear patterns. Items disappearing more frequently, money not aligning perfectly with documented sales. Something was wrong. The numbers didn't lie, and neither did Les's gut. Quietly, without alerting the staff, he launched an internal investigation. He watched, he checked, he'd double-checked, and the truth slowly surfaced, piece by painful piece. Joe had been stealing, not in dramatic heists or large hauls, but in small, constant bites. A few valuable items slipped out, a few transactions redirected, a few records altered, enough to stay hidden, but enough to damage the business if it continued. Eventually, the full picture came together. Joe was running a side operation. He stole valuable items from the shop and sold them privately, pocketing the money while manipulating the shop's system to make the thefts look like bookkeeping errors. The moment Les realized this, it felt like the floor dropped out beneath him. This wasn't about a stranger or a temporary worker. This was Joe. Someone Les had trusted, someone he had eaten with, laughed with, included in important decisions, a man he believed in. The betrayal hit harder than the theft itself. When Les finally confronted Joe, he hoped, desperately, that the man would show remorse, admit his mistake, apologize. But Joe denied everything. He acted offended, played innocent, and even tried shifting blame. For Les, this was the breaking point. It wasn't the missing merchandise that hurt the most. It was the realization that the loyalty he thought he had built within his team wasn't as unbreakable as he believed. The emotional weight was enormous. Les found himself questioning not just Joe, but everyone around him. The shop that once felt like home suddenly felt unfamiliar. Every shift, every employee, every conversation sparked doubt, and doubt was something Les had never allowed into his business before. But the consequences were bigger than just the emotional blow. News of the theft spread fast. Customers whispered about it. Critics used it as ammunition. Competitors mocked the shop that once stood as the gold standard. Some longtime clients hesitated, wondering if the shop they trusted was slipping. Les felt the pressure crushing him from all sides. His reputation, built over decades, was at stake. Silence would tear the business down, but responding would mean revealing painful truths. He chose to face it. Les fired Joe, took legal action, and made it clear to the industry that he would defend the integrity of his business at any cost. But inside the shop, the atmosphere changed. People who once shared jokes and stories now exchanged suspicious glances. If Joe could betray the business, who else might? A workplace once filled with energy and camaraderie became tense and uncertain. For Les, the lesson was brutal but necessary. He realized that trust, even when well-earned, must be balanced with accountability. He tightened security, implemented new checks, and restructured oversight. He also began quietly evaluating every employee, wondering if there was more to uncover. Had Joe acted alone? Was someone else involved? Was there another threat hiding in plain sight? The betrayal forced Les to see his business from a new angle. It wasn't just the public reputation he had to rebuild. It was the internal trust of his own team, and that was a far heavier burden. Les Gold's employees. Inside American Jewelry and Loan, every day felt like organized chaos. People rushing in with hopes, fears, debts, and treasures. But behind the counter, behind the shouting customers, and the endless negotiations, stood the core team that helped Les Gold keep the entire operation alive. Each person had their own strengths, their own flaws, and their own way of shaping the business. And while the world often saw only the loudest moments on television, the real heartbeat of the pawn empire came from these individuals. Seth Gold was one of them. Calm, logical, and far more calculated than his father, Seth carried a different kind of fire. Where Les relied on instinct and decades of experience, Seth leaned on numbers, analysis, and strategy. He was the son who constantly pushed for modernization, cleaner operations, tighter systems, sharper branding. And even though he often clashed with Les and his sister Ashley, those disagreements came from vision, not rebellion. Seth believed the shop could reach higher, expand further, and become something more polished, a model for the next era of pawn businesses. While Les focused on the human side of negotiations, Seth strengthened the backbone of the business. He created systems, streamlined operations, and introduced methods that made the shop more efficient than ever. His forward-thinking mindset helped American Jewelry and Loan become not just a local success, but an example for pawn shops across the country. To Seth, growth was not optional, it was essential. On the opposite end was Ashley Gold, fiery, passionate, and absolutely unshakable. As head of sales and customer relations, Ashley carried herself with a protective force that could silence a room. She defended the business like a soldier guarding her territory. Whether facing an aggressive customer or debating with her brother Seth, Ashley never backed down. Her loyalty to her father was iron-strong, almost instinctive. She and Les understood each other in a way that made their bond visible, even in heated moments on camera. Ashley didn't care what people thought of her directness. She didn't adjust her tone to make anyone comfortable. If something threatened the business, she confronted it immediately. Her intense personality brought raw authenticity to the shop. She showed viewers that behind every negotiation was a human connection, and sometimes a human conflict. Running a family business came with emotion, pressure, and difficult decisions, and Ashley never hid any of it. Her fierce approach proved that protecting a legacy required courage, even if it ruffled feathers. Next came Byron, the quiet storm at the shop's entrance. As head of security, he wasn't loud or dramatic. He didn't need to be. His calmness was a shield, his firmness a silent warning. Byron had a way of diffusing situations before they erupted, stepping between chaos and order with precision. In a pawn shop, where emotions could escalate in seconds, Byron ensured everyone felt safe. Customers trusted the environment because Byron controlled it with discipline. Employees respected him because he never let things slip. And while security often sounds like a background job, the truth was simple. Without Byron, the shop's reputation for professionalism would never have remained intact. His presence was the steady force that kept tension from turning into violence. Then there was Bobby Janis, the negotiator. Smooth-talking, persuasive, and professional, Bobby had a gift for reading people. Every customer who walked in with an item believed they had something priceless. Bobby's job was to find the truth, compare value against emotion, and land the deal that made sense for the business. He brought a human touch to negotiations, making customers feel heard even when their expectations didn't match reality. Bobby's skill showed viewers that pawnbroking wasn't about taking advantage of people, it was about fairness. His presence reassured customers that the shop wasn't just a business. It was a place where deals were conducted with dignity and respect. Behind the scenes stood Karen, the office manager. While the cameras rarely focused on her, her role was the backbone of the shop. She managed paperwork, daily operations, and the organizational structure that kept everything from falling apart. Without Karen's attention to detail, efficiency, and professionalism, American Jewelry and Loan would not have run as smoothly as it did. She was the one who made sure no document was misplaced, no transaction mishandled, no system neglected. Karen's work allowed Les and his family to focus on the public-facing chaos while she maintained the order behind closed doors. She quietly showed the industry how crucial strong management is in a pawn business. And then there was Joe, whose story would forever leave a mark on the shop. Once a trusted employee, Joe's downfall came slowly. Small lies, small thefts, small manipulations. Over time, those small actions grew into consistent losses and missing items. When Les discovered the truth, the betrayal wasn't just about money. It shook the foundation of trust within the shop. Firing Joe was necessary, but it left a stain. one that forced Les to evaluate everything more cautiously. Joe's exit revealed the darker realities of the pawn world. When money and valuable items pass through many hands, temptation can grow. His departure was a warning that trust, no matter how strong, must always be balanced with vigilance. But before all the fame, before the team members, before the cameras, there was the story of one man, Les Gold himself. Success story. Long before the world knew his name, long before American Jewelry and Loan became a Detroit landmark, Les Gold was just a boy wandering through the aisles of his grandfather's pawn shop. Born on the 20th of June, 1950, Les grew up in Detroit, surrounded by negotiation, hustle, and the steady rhythm of pawnbroking. His grandparents, Eastern European immigrants, opened their first pawn shop in the early 1900s, planting the seed of a legacy Les would one day carry forward. From the moment he could walk behind the counter, he learned the value of rare items, the art of reading people, and the importance of honesty. At just 7 years old, he made his first sale, and that moment became the spark that ignited his lifelong passion. By 12, he was already experimenting with entrepreneurship, selling pizza slices to classmates for profit. Every piece of his childhood shaped him into the businessman the world would later admire. In 1987, Les founded American Jewelry and Loan, never imagining it would become one of the largest and most successful pawn shops in the United States. Located in Detroit, a city known for grit, resilience, and a powerful automotive identity, the shop served its community faithfully for over 4 decades. Under Les's leadership, it earned a reputation for its wide inventory, fair pricing, and personalized customer service. Then came the moment that would change everything: the leap into reality television. In 2009, a production team approached Les with an idea: to bring the inner workings of his family business to the screen. The show that emerged became a cultural phenomenon. Viewers were captivated by the drama, the negotiations, the unpredictability, and of course, Les's commanding presence. His catchphrase, "It's not what you know, it's what you can prove," became iconic, a reflection of his sharp instincts and ironclad philosophy. The show boosted Les into global stardom. He became a cultural icon, not just for his business acumen, but for his bold jewelry, distinctive mustache, and charismatic personality. Fans admired his fearless approach, and entrepreneurs across the country learned from his strategies. Beyond television, Les expanded his influence. He wrote, "For What It's Worth: Business Wisdom from a Pawnbroker," a book that reached the 4th spot on the New York Times bestseller list. In its pages, he shared raw insights, lessons, and practical advice, proving that pawnbroking was far more complex and noble than people assumed. Les also used his success to give back. He supported local charities, contributed to community development in Detroit, and invested in programs that aimed to lift the city he loved. Yet despite all the fame, all the success, and all the accomplishments, not everything was smooth. Critics questioned whether television exaggerated the drama. Some accused the show of staging interactions. But amidst every controversy, Les stood firm. His influence in the pawn industry remained undeniable. Today, he is recognized as a third-generation pawnbroker who honored his family's legacy, modernized an industry, and built an empire with grit, skill, and unshakable determination. Rumors concerning the death of Les Gold. It happened in April of 2023, a month that should have passed quietly. Instead, panic spread like wildfire. One video, just one, was enough to shake fans everywhere. A TikTok post appeared with the chilling caption, "R.I.P. Les Gold 1950, 2023. The clip flashed through photos of Les Gold, his classic hardcore pawn moments, his serious stare behind the counter, even snapshots of him with his family on Good Morning America. Within hours, the rumor was everywhere. Comment sections filled with confusion, shock, and heartbreak. People began messaging, calling, searching, wanting to know if the legend of American jewelry and loan was truly gone. But nothing spreads faster than fear, except the truth spoken at the right moment. Seth Gold knew he couldn't stay silent. Almost immediately, he pulled out his phone and recorded a video for his verified TikTok account. His voice firm, his message direct. He made it absolutely clear that his father was very much alive. He even posted the clip with a sharp caption, "The rumors are false." For many, relief washed over instantly. But a question lingered in the air. Why would anyone start a rumor like that? Who wished the legend dead? Was this another aftershock from the chaos Joe once created? Or simply the kind of cruel joke the internet never seems to run out of? Whatever the reason, one thing remained clear. Les Gold's resilience had once again been tested. And once again, he stood unshaken. Through betrayal, theft, public scandal, and now death rumors, Les continued doing what he did best, showing up, leading his business, and proving that toughness wasn't an act for television. It was who he had always been. His journey hasn't been easy. It has been messy, painful, and unpredictable at times. But every challenge sharpened him, shaped him, and pushed him into becoming a stronger leader than before. And even after everything, Les Gold remains a towering figure in the pawn industry, respected, recognized, and impossible to tear down. What do you think about the life and tragedy of Les Gold? Is his story one worth learning from? And is it truly the kind of life someone should wish for? Share your thoughts in the comments section. And don't forget to like, subscribe, and turn on the notification bell so you never miss our next video.